Welcome back to the 4-H school gardens. Let's see what's been going on in this last week. Remember, we're down to the last few cool days and we're starting to warm up. So we were taking out all of the lettuce. Well, I removed the majority of them, but notice what's starting to show up. If you see all those little brown guys crawling around, those are all aphids. Each one of those looks like this guy. And if you remember from the beneficial and harmful insects, this one has a piercing sucking mouth part. And so it's taking that mouth part and pulling all the fluids out of that plant so the plant's not getting the sugars. Aphids come in every single color of the rainbow. So don't be surprised, they're not all brown. Some are green, purples, pinks, yellows, all kinds of colors. But if you look at them closely underneath the microscope or with a magnifying glass, you will recognize them by these two little cornicles, two little tailpipes. So you know you're dealing with an aphid if you see that. Well, we could use some soapy water and clean them all up off the plants. Remember, we said that when we harvested the lettuce, we wanted to take this inside and wash that because I don't know that I want to eat the aphids too, just the lettuce. So our lettuce is now gone. And we will now be moving on to some other plants. So let's see what else is going on in this garden, and then we'll come back and replace those lettuce spaces with some beans, because we've got time to grow some beans before summer's here. So what else did we find? Notice the tomatoes are getting huge. We've had some really strong winds, so I've had to pull them back forward and brace them. And we've been getting lots and lots of fruit in there. So, if you are one that likes green fried tomatoes, it's nice and firm, it hasn't turned colors, this is a nice size to start harvesting them. This is something that would have to be fried, so make sure that you get adult help. But you could certainly pick a few, cut a few of them up, get them battered, and then let someone fry them for you. It's better than potato chips. Give it a try and see if you like them. But that's an option for you right now. We also, remember, we've been looking at our cucumbers growing in here. Well, we found the big one here. And notice he's green and he's starting to turn a little bit yellow. It's heavy. You can hear that solid sound that's starting to get more hollow. That's the time that those cucumbers are ready. This variety, this is the length that it's supposed to be. There are some cucumbers that get much longer. So check and see which variety you put in and see how big it's supposed to be. But this is another really good option for you. You know, pickles come from cucumbers? Again, maybe somebody at the extension office could help you learn how to pickle this, because you will have to have some other chemicals added to it and put in the jar. Otherwise, just slice this guy up, put him in your salads, eat him like he is. Lots of choices for cucumbers. So these big leaves with these yellow flowers, we're going to keep watching them. We'll have lots more cucumbers coming. We've been getting plenty of cucumbers and tomatoes forming. And of course the squash. This will be the 5th one that we've harvested of this size, and plenty more to come. So keep checking on them and look for some recipes for these. Lots of options for you. Remember our potatoes? Well, we decided to look at this one because all of these stems have started to wilt. So that's usually an indication that they're ready. Being in these baskets, they're really easy to pull out of the basket and start digging through the soil. Look at there. There's a potato. There's some more. These are what you call new potatoes. These are the young ones that you can roast just like they are. Cut them up into small portions if you would like, okay? But we're starting to get these smaller potatoes that are all ready. And this is what you want to do, is just dump them out of there and start sifting through the soil and see what you can find. Now notice, there are some little ones still forming. So we're going to leave the rest of the baskets so those can keep producing. And they will get to be bigger and bigger. But you can get them early and use them small, or let them grow a little bit longer and get bigger. But that's what you're looking for with your potatoes. All right, that leaves us this space. And we need to put something in there. We can't waste that space. So we looked, and beans are still a really good option. So we're going to grow some beans. This is an heirloom variety. It's just the Blue Lake. It's a taller pole type bean. So we have to have something for it to grow on. But you can get bush beans. If you want them to be a little bit shorter, that's an option for you too. Look at the different varieties. They will tell you on the back how deep to plant them. Okay, so this is telling me 1 to 1.5 inches deep, and that's always a good option to look at the packaging. But otherwise, look at the seed itself, and 1.5 times the length of the seed. So that's a pretty good guess, huh? If I did that about 1 inch long. So I would make a hole about 1 inch deep, insert my seed at the bottom, and cover it up. And that's all we're going to need to do. But we're going to fill all these little spaces so that as they sprout, and next week they'll be sprouted, they'll start to grow on these trellises. And hopefully in about 30 days, we're going to have some beans to start looking at. Okay, and we can reintroduce new seeds every couple of weeks so that we can keep extending the season on beans. Pick a few, plant a few, and you can keep them going all summer long. What's going to happen in the ground? Well, here was what you see. There's your bean, and if you were to cut him open, all right, this is what you'd see inside. So that seed coat, that hard stuff on the outside, that's going to get wet with hopefully tomorrow's rain, and that seed coat will come loose. And inside, there's tissue so that that little plant can continue to grow and will form protective layers over these guys that are going to sprout. Well, that's referred to as your cotyledon. And within it, you have an epicotyl and a hypocotyl. That epicotyl is going to be leaves, but that hypocotyl also has a radical end to it. So, out of that seed, radical comes out, forms roots, followed by that hypocotyl, which will push through, anchor down into the ground, and then that cotyledon will push up through the soil. And so those first two things that come out of the ground are not true leaves. Those are cotyledons. Those are seed protectors. But that's what gives them the energy to get growing. So they will only be oval in shape. They will not be shaped like the beans. But the bean seeds will follow next, and those will be true leaves. You will know that the plant has established when you see true leaves, the ones that are shaped like what a bean leaf would look like. So if you don't know what that is, look it up and see what a bean leaf should look like, because those are the ones we want to see come out of the ground. Those first two little cotyledons, they're just going to turn yellow and fall off. And that's going to be perfectly normal. All right? But we'll get lots and lots of new leaves behind it growing up this trellis and wrapping around. It'll be interesting to see, do they vine themselves and twine around it? Or are they going to need tendrils in order to anchor to it? What do you think? Check it out and see. See if you can determine that before it actually happens. But we're going to get these bean seeds planted. Now we've got enough to make a salad here with our squash and our lettuce and our potatoes. We can make something to eat, okay? Get growing. If you haven't started, it's not too late. And we'll see you again next week.